Okay, so today's pepper review is going to be on the Kathumby black pepper by Mojo Peppers. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the Kathumby black pepper by Mojo Peppers. And so it's a very interesting plant. I really have to say this is definitely outside of my normal type of pepper plants that I grow. Let's go over the plant profile first, and then we'll pick one of these and we'll do a taste test on it. Okay, so first of all, the stem on it is black as black can be. This has got to be the blackest pepper plant that I have ever seen grow. Okay? The blackest I have ever seen. I mean, this thing is literally black from bottom to top of stem. There's not any green on this stem at all. Now, the royal black, which is supposed to be a really dark pepper. I mean, you can see that the royal black is really black in the leaves and all. But you look at its stem down here, and you see greening in there throughout the entire plant. And that plant's not really being grown too much farther from this plant. So this has got to be one of the blackest peppers I have ever seen in my life, as far as the stem part goes. I mean, this thing is absolutely black. The stem is smooth. There's just a little bit of hair on the stem. There's not much. The entire stem is completely black from top to bottom, from the highest part of this plant all the way to the very bottom. I don't even see greening at the very top part of the plant up here. So this plant is truly a black pepper plant in every aspect of it. The leaf is a little bit different. These leaves are generally subject to sunlight in order to get black. It's that cyanamine that's inside of the plant that causes the blackening of the leaves. So as you can see, like right here, it looks smoky on one side. That's because of the angle of the leaf and the angle of the sun and everything, the way it hits it. So it's coming through at that point, and wherever you see green, it's not really going to be that much black on it because it really needs direct sunlight to really get black. Here's one that probably gets more sunlight. You see how dark it is up here, but you go to the lower plant where it didn't get much sunlight throughout the entire summer because of all the other plants growing around it. It kind of stayed green. So if you put this plant in direct sunlight, you're going to get really, really dark leaves on it. As far as the leaf goes, I would say it's basically, this is a very large one, as you can see. It's a regular leaf type, and I say that because you don't see the lobes bulging out in the back, and it's kind of regular size, even though it's a very large leaf. But it does have attributes of a broadleaf in it, and it also has attributes of a narrow leaf, which is really kind of strange. But I would generally categorize this as a regular leaf. But the broadleaf part is strange because if you look at the leaf pattern, you can see how it gets puffy between the veins. That's really what starts putting me into that broadleaf category, is when you see that, because that's really what comes out of those habaneros and those really hot peppers. They tend to have that effect to it, whereas regular leaf generally doesn't have that puffiness to it. Now, that's just my terminology of trying to identify this plant as opposed to what textbook tells you. You can follow textbook, whatever you want. I don't even think this plant is in the textbook, but whatever way you feel comfortable identifying your plants, maybe go by that. This is just my way of giving you an idea what to look for when you grow it. These are some of the attributes to look for to make sure you got the right pepper and the right plant, and you know you're growing what you ordered the seed for. Some of these plants on this particular batch of plants seeds that I ordered from Mojo Peppers have some really interesting and unique characteristics to it, which is different than probably all my other pepper plants combined. And one of those attributes is if you look on the stem. Now, I did see it really a lot up here, and now I don't really see it anymore. But I seen it on top, but it's still on the bottom a little bit. And you see like this white fuzz that comes out, like these cottony fuzz that comes out next to the stem. You can see it's not insects. At least I don't think it is. No, it's not insects. Because it does it on all leaves. Every leaf has got that on there. But at one time, it was putting it out on the very top of the plant. Let me see if I can find an example of that somewhere. I don't see it on there no more. It went away. It was very prominent at one point. Like here, if you look at this leaf, you see along that stem, that vein, you see that whiteness on there? It almost looks like dust. That was very prominent on this plant. You could also see here, it's back here a little bit. Now, I've never seen that on a pepper plant before. It's not a disease. It's actually a genetic characteristic from this plant. A lot of these plants were really doing it in the beginning, a lot. You could kind of see it here. And it's kind of going away. Something with his variety, whatever he crossed that particular variety with, is exhibiting something I've never seen in pepper plants before. So it's very unique. I have to say that is very different about this plant. What I would like to note about this plant and all the other Mojo plants that I grew, his seeds were extremely viable. I mean, there were only a couple, out of like 20 varieties I bought from him, or 25 or maybe 30. I don't remember how many varieties I bought from him. Pretty much bought everything he had, except for like what I already had. But he had a lot of stuff I didn't have, so I just bought everything. His prices were reasonable. So I figured, you know what, I'm ordering from this country. I think it was Italy. So it's going to take me a little time to get the seeds. I may not get them because of customs, and so I don't want to keep ordering. It's too much trouble to get. I'm not worried about the cost of the shipping or anything. It's just I don't want to wait 2 and 3 months to get my seeds. It's a real pain in the neck. I used to trade seeds a lot with people on chilimans.org, and I used to have to like trade when you're trading seeds, like send your seeds out. But when you go to get your seeds, a lot of times because of the customs coming in, it can take as long as, a month and a half. So they already get your seeds, but now you're still waiting a week, a month, 2, 3 weeks, a month. You know what I mean? So you don't know if they're playing with you, or you're going to get beat on that deal. And so trading seeds with people online, I haven't gotten beat, but there's always that possibility somebody just wants to get your seed from you for free and not really follow through with the deal. So you have that issue because of that lag time. You have to deal with it. And I didn't want to keep ordering seeds from him over and over. One order. Ordered everything he had. And out of all the plants and seeds I grew from him, everything grew absolutely incredibly well. There was only a couple varieties that kind of like gave me a hard time, but they're still alive. They're still healthy. They're small. They didn't really produce any fruit. When I get to those varieties, I'll go over that maybe, even though I'm not going to be doing reviews on them because there's no peppers on them. But his peppers in general did better than everything else I grew in my greenhouse. Unbelievably well. In soil that wasn't any good, and it just pulled through like a champ. I don't know what he did to his plants to get his plants so healthy and his seeds so healthy, but they were absolutely great. They outperformed every other pepper plant I grew this year. They almost outperformed my 3-year-old pepper plants, which are already established. This is new, and it was really almost outperforming that. Incredible, healthy plants. His seeds were very, very good. Now, these aren't fully ripened because I do believe these will eventually turn orange or red, or get patches of red with black in it. I don't want to wait. It's already going into the 3rd week of October. At some point, this plant is, these peppers been on this plant since mid-August. Okay, they've been sitting here for months. So I don't know how many more months I have to wait until it starts changing color and everything. But I need to get some of these reviews done on these Mojo peppers, and they're just taking a very long time to ripen. So keep that in mind when you're growing a lot of these exotic peppers. You're going to want to make sure you got 6 to 8 months for the plant to fully grow out and ripen and develop, because the peppers might take 3 to 4 months to ripen. I've had, like I said, this has been on here for since these were coming out earlier than mid-October, mid-August. These were coming out, I think, the end of July. These were already popping out. So you're talking what, August, September, October? We're looking at November. You're talking 4 months these peppers have taken from turning from a flower to a pepper to ripen. So that's a long time to wait for a pepper. But that's the way it is. Sometimes it just goes that way. Certain varieties will just sit that way for a long, 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 long time. It's not that the plant is unhealthy or anything. It's just this variety is a very unique variety. It is a cross, so I would definitely say you're going to have to be patient with it and just plan a lot more in advance when you grow this variety out. All right, so enough rambling. Here's the pepper. That's what it looks like in a plant. And you'll see a lot of times two peppers will come out of each node. See how it comes out 2 per node? Like that, sort of like a cherry tree. But every now and again, you will get one that comes out of there. Just one pepper will come out of the node. Now, the very beginning ones, it was just one pepper, 1 or 2 here. But most of them are 2 peppers coming out of each node. That's what I've noticed. The flowers, unfortunately, I don't believe there's any flowers left on here. The flowers were actually quite beautiful. Very unique looking flower. Well, very identifiably to this plant. It was definitely different in a lot of ways. Here's a little one coming out. That's how it starts off. I don't have any flowers. I think I have some video, and there might be some flowers in the earlier video. But we're way past... There's another little pepper coming out. We're way past that stage where pretty much everything should have been dead by now. But we're really getting lucky this year by getting a late frost. And I'm in my greenhouse, so I might be able to pull this off until like the second week of November. I've got my fingers crossed. That'll buy me a little more time before I have to bring them in. Because once I bring them in, they're going to go into like shock, basically. And they're going to start losing all the leaves. I got to trim them back. So it's pretty much game over. Even though I bring them in, it's game over for all of them. Just keep the rootstock alive and then revitalize it in spring. There's really not going to be much more I can do after that. So now I wanted to pick this one, but this one's been on here the longest, and so I really want to try to get these to the point where they actually ripen to the way I want them to ripen, with the patchy red and black patching in it. I really want that effect. I'm going to leave some of my older ones, and maybe I'll pick one of these up here a little bit. Now, these all been on here the longest. Like I say, this one's been on here forever. Now, you can see there's a couple different phenotypes on this plant. This is the shape I think he was shooting for, but you're going to end up getting shapes like this. Okay, and that's not a problem. You just want to make sure when you're saving seeds to this, you may want to save this and label it number 2 variety. Like, it's the same name and everything, just label it as type 2. And then this would be like type 1. That would be your original look that you want to save. But any of these that don't really look like they're typing correctly, the way I do it is I look for the type that I want. Like, I want that shape. I want that shape, and I want that size and everything. I'm going to pick all the peppers that look like that shape and size, and those are the ones I'm going to really cultivate and get my seeds out. Like all the rest of these that are kind of like that and all, I'm going to let those not mix with the ones that have the shape. Like this one's nice. This one's got the convolutions. You can see it's starting to get patchy. Now it's a little bit on the ripened side. It's not totally unripened, so it's starting to get a little orange in it, and it's getting that pinkish purple color. And this is really the effect we want to look for in this pepper. You want that patchy color. Now, some peppers will normally not do that. In other words, when they ripen, they just go fully ripen, and that's it. Some peppers, certain varieties, they will ripen unevenly. So what ends up happening is this is eventually going to turn red, right? So what happens is it turns red, but in only parts of it. And the other parts will stay black, basically. And it literally looks strange when it gets to that point. Some varieties are known to do that, or they're more prominent in doing that. And you could almost see every pepper will do that. But it's not guaranteed. So I'm assuming that this variety that he crossed it with was one that will actually do that and get that patchy color. That was the effect he was looking for, and it looks like he achieved it. But I won't know until these start ripening and we start getting the nice shapes and colors on this thing. All right, so here it is. Sure, some of you have been waiting for this. I don't know if too many people are still following my video blogs on my pepper reviews, but I've been waiting to do a review on this now for probably going close to 4 months since I've been growing this, and these peppers literally took from flower to where they are now, where I'm finally doing the taste set. And this isn't even completely ripened yet. This still has another month probably to go before it completely ripens. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you the actual look from my peppers, what it's supposed to look like, but I'll include an image in the video so you can see what the original phenotype look was supposed to look like. I've been waiting an incredibly long time, and this pepper is literally one of those pepper plants that can sit on the plant for probably 6 months even and not ripen. It's just the nature of the plant. It's not that I'm complaining. It's just you got to have a lot of patience with some of these peppers sometimes, because, I mean, you could pick these off like this and just eat them, but I usually like to wait till they're ripen. The capsaicin tends to mellow. The soapy flavor tends to mellow. The sweetness really develops, and you're really getting the true flavor of that pepper when you do that. You don't want to cut yourself short by being impatient and just plucking them off the plant and eating them. You really want to wait until they're ripened. And it's also really good for when you're saving seeds as well, because now the seeds are fully mature and you know you're going to have good seeds to follow in. So I bought a number of peppers from Mojo's, and this is one of them. And I was really interested in the shape and phenotype of his peppers because they're very different than a lot of other peppers I see grown. A lot of people will come up with these cross strains like the Brain strain, the Butch Tea, and they're all basically stemmed off of the 7-pot pepper. And the phenotype's really nothing different about it other than the name. There might be a small identifier difference, but pretty much they look the same. If I put one side by side, you'd be like, which is which? You wouldn't know. With this, it's very different. I put these side by side to another one of his peppers he's growing. You're going to be like, wow, what is that? You know, you're just going to know there's a difference between this and another pepper. It's very, very different. So anyway, let's take a bite off this thing. I have no idea if it's hot. I would imagine it is. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Wow, what a very interesting pepper. I don't even know where to begin. It does have heat, but it's not insanely hot. This is a nice pepper. Right out the gate, this would make a terrific pickling pepper. Perfect for pickling. One of those reasons is, if you look at the wall thickness, try to get you in the right lighting here. Look at the wall thickness. It's very thin. Paper thin like a cayenne pepper. It does have heat on it though. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's very thin. There is heat. I'm probably going to put that heat it's very direct too. It's a very direct type of a heat. I don't even know where to begin with this one. Let's go over the heat first. The heat is hot. It's probably 50,000 plus. It's not a light heat pepper, but it's a very concentrated type of a burn. It is literally burning just if you take your tongue like this, and on the very top of the tongue, not even the sides of the tongue, the very top of the tongue, right down the center of your tongue, that stripe, that's the only thing it's burning. And it's got a tiny bit on the tip of the tongue like there. It might be a tiny little bit burning. But it's the very top of the tongue and the center part of your tongue. Not to the sides of the tongue, not in the back of the throat, nothing else, just the very center strip of your tongue is burning. That is bizarre. I've never had that effect before. I usually get the whole tongue burns, and this is a very concentrated, specific type of capsaicin in this pepper. Very different. The taste was very pleasant. Was not unpleasant in any way. There was almost a little bit of soapy flavor, but again, the soapy flavor that I keep saying has something to do with capsaicins in the pepper. The soapier it is, the more capsaicin is going to be in it. Most likely, the hotter it's going to be. Some plants will produce a capsaicin that tastes more like soap, whereas other plants, like reapers, will produce a capsaicin. It's kind of soapy, but the fruity flavor kind of blends it all out. You don't really taste it in those, but the heat is incredibly hot. Some peppers, it comes in as a soapy flavor. There's got to be multiple different types of capsaicin in and of itself that create these flavors and effects. There wasn't much of a soapy flavor. But what I can say is that heat was directly down the center of the tongue. Very strange indeed. That was very interesting. It's weird. It's like the sides of my tongue, nothing. Directly down the center, up to about 3/4 of the way from the tip of the tongue back, it stops. It's just that one part, which is really I don't know if he intended to do that. He's got really this is really one freaky and strange plant. I'm going to tell you that. There's a lot of things I didn't even talk about too much with it. I'd be here for hours making a video. There's a lot of other strange things about this plant that is very different from other pepper plants. Very, very different. I don't know what he crossed it with, but it is definitely not the same as your standard regular pepper. It's different. I don't know what he did, but whatever he did, this guy's a genius. I like that strangeness in peppers. I'm always looking for something that's outside of the normal, you know. This is one of them. It's very quick in flavor. Not necessarily light, but the flavor comes in flashes. It's like you get a quick burst of flavor and it's gone. There's no long aftertaste. There was a little bit of an aftertaste that hung around the back of the tongue a little bit. Not unpleasant, but like that cayenne type of effect that when you eat a cayenne, that pepper flavor sticks around in the back there a little bit. And it did that a little bit, but then it's gone. It doesn't stick around. I would definitely say this is not a spicy pepper the way it is. And when I say spicy, I'm not referring to heat. I am referring to the oils in it and the other stuff that's in it that's going to make it want to repeat on you and belch and upset your stomach. That to me is what spicy is. So it doesn't have a spicy effect to it, at least as far as I can tell. I can tell if something's generally spicy, but there is a very slight aftertaste, now that I'm saying spicy, of a Fatalii. Very slight fruity Fatalii type taste. Not a lot, but ever so slightly. I could taste it like when you breathe through your nose and your mouth at the same time. I could kind of get like an essence of that. Not strong though. I like the taste of Fataliis too, I just can't eat them. Oh, his one's starting to get red. Let's pick this one. Oh, what did I do? You see how that broke off? That broke like glass. Wow. I didn't expect that. Well, I got a couple more I could do taste tests on. You can see that fuzz on there, right? See that fuzz over here? You can see there's like a fuzz on it. Alright, so we picked another one. We're going to give this one another bite. We're going to see if the heat spreads out any. And we're also going to see if the flavor is a little different and if the heat is any stronger. Here we go. A little bit more of a soapy flavor. Not overwhelmingly soapy though. But a little bit more. I could taste it a little more. It's a little hard to chew because the skins are so thin on it. It's almost like you're chewing skin. See what it looks like on the inside? Nice and red on the inside, black on the outside. That's what you want to see. That second one I ate had a lot more heat than the first one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.